Hi, I'm Pav.
And I'm Neil.
And welcome to the Top 10 of Anything podcast.
Let's start the countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Documentaries come in all shapes and sizes. Some can entertain, some can inform, some can leave you speechless, and some horrified. Whatever the subject, a good documentary will always educate. Here's Neil with 10 documentary facts.
Thank you very much, Pav. So let's get underway with my first fact. The very first films, pre-1900s, were called actuality films because they captured short snippets of real actual events, such as a boat pulling up to a dock or workers leaving a factory. So in essence, the first movies ever made were documentaries. Nanook of the North, an American filmmaker, Robert Flaherty, in 1922, considered the first original documentary. This film profiles the lives of real Eskimo family. In 1926, the first recorded mention of the term documentary by Scottish-born filmmaker John Grierson to describe a non-fiction film. The 1930s to the 1940s, the documentary became a valuable propaganda tool for governments such as Nazi Germany, America, and Britain, especially during World War II. The 1960s to the 1990s, television became an important outlet for documentary filmmaking, putting more of an emphasis on journalistic and educational programs. Documentaries today are experiencing a boost in popularity with the help of online streaming services. To date, Fahrenheit 9/11 is the biggest box office take so far. It took a whopping $119 million. Shoah, made in 1985, was voted the best documentary of all time in a Time Out poll. IMDb ran a poll to find out what was the worst documentary, and it is called Unvaxxed, which came top. And a French documentary called Oceanos is said to be the most expensive documentary ever made.
Thank you, Neil. Beautifully done.
Like a butterfly.
Like a butterfly. Yes. Oh, and the music's still going, and the music finishes. So we are here to work out our top 10 documentaries. Now, we're also doing docu-series as well, and we are joined by the one and only, the TV superstar, radio movie superstar, Kelly. Top Head Kelly. Hello, Kelly.
Hi.
Hello.
Finally.
I'm so excited to be here. I know.
Well,
thank you very much. That's
yes.
what I'll say straight away.
Yes, thank you very much for looking
You're
so
welcome.
glamorous with
Thank
your
you.
Grateful Dead background, as you'll be able to see on YouTube.
Yes.
Okay, now, did I give you this one as a choice, or did you come up with this one? I can't quite remember.
I came up with this one after I tried for Drew Barrymore movies. You said
That's
I
right.
can't even name one. So
Well, it was
and she's been
E.T. and
canceled
50
now
First
anyway.
Dates for me. That was it.
Right. Those would definitely be the top two, probably for all of us. So yeah, I love documentaries.
Right.
I find them very entertaining. So
Good.
yeah.
I'm just wondering whether you think we're going to have a lot of duplicates in this one.
I don't. Well, I think there's a couple that could be, but there's so many, I mean, it's vast. If we made it just music documentaries or something like that, maybe, but it's a wide variety.
Possibly. And
Yeah,
how about you, Neil? Did you find it easy or hard to sort your top 10 out?
Well, it's always hard to sort of top 10 out, but I was surprised at the amount of documentaries that I thoroughly liked and had watched more than once as well. That helped me so much. But I would imagine, it's going back, we got some duplicates. I would imagine there's going to be a couple here and there that I would think maybe me and you, Pav, because we've talked about a couple of documentaries in the past that we're both big fans of, and I wouldn't be surprised if we've got the same.
I've got a feeling there's one in there that you think I've got that didn't quite make my top 10, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Right then,
Okay.
Kelly, kick us off with your number 10, please.
Okay, so I actually moved this down to number 10. I had it higher and then I thought more and thought, ugh. So I'm going with number 10, pure entertainment value. I'm going with Tiger King.
Oh,
Okay.
was an absolute phenomenon during the pandemic, wasn't it?
You know, it came out like 3 days after we had total shutdown in the United States, and so I think everybody watched it. And it was definitely entertaining. I'm not going to get into the animal abuse of it, but there's definitely that. So that's kind of why it moved down. But I don't know, Joe Exotic, does it get any more extravagant than him? And he's just pure entertainment. I mean, he's in jail now.
Yeah.
But
spoilers for anybody that hasn't.
Yeah.
No, don't worry. Don't worry. We're
We're
not going to worry about spoilers. They need
If
to.
they're not going to watch it,
Okay,
now,
good.
never
Exactly.
watch it.
They wouldn't have watched it.
Right,
would they?
right.
No, that's right.
That's true.
That's true. I mean, I must admit, I think if for a documentary, when you have a documentary that you're making for a specific thing, and then it becomes something else, which is what that whole Tiger King thing became.
Right.
I mean, I was swept away with it because, like you say, we were. It was a weird time, wasn't it? And if you hadn't watched Tiger King, then you watched Hamilton. They were the two things during pandemic that you sort of had to watch. But yeah, I mean, I haven't watched it since. I haven't watched it again, I must admit, because I don't know whether it would hold up in a normal world. I really don't.
I don't know that it would either. And they've had subsequent seasons, which I did watch, and they're not the same as the first one. And maybe that's because the position we were all in at the time.
But it's also that we were
on
watching Joe
lockdown.
Exotic out in the wild, as it were, whereas now he's behind bars and we're watching everyone else. But I was really put off when they did the catch up. It just seems such a pointless bit of TV.
Yeah.
It was a money grab
Yeah.
for sure.
But but
Yeah.
again, it was something that everybody was rabid for, weren't they? They were all going, "Oh my god!" And it ended up just being this complete just wet lettuce of a TV show. It was rubbish.
Yes.
But it would be interesting
And
to
that's
go
my
back.
number 10.
Yeah, it would be interesting to go back on it and just have a look at it, like I say, from 2023 eyes.
Right. From our perspective now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say the first series will probably still hold up very strong for anybody who'd never seen it or heard about it.
If you haven't seen it, yeah.
Because you've got the years and years and years of them building all this sort of stuff, which I suppose the first season just shot its load, and then it's never been able.
What a lovely way. We have ladies present,
Oh,
Neil.
sorry.
What a way of putting it.
Sorry,
Sorry. There you go. I'll do that for you. Thank you, Kelly.
Apologies, Kelly. But do you know what I mean? It's just never going to recover because it hasn't got the ammunition or the footage to be able to do it justice to the first season.
No, you're right.
Right.
You're right.
Right.
What a blistering way to start the podcast. That's a great one to start with. Well done, Kelly.
Well, there's the title for the podcast: "The Lion King Shot."
Yeah, there's the promo clip. There's the promo clip. Right then, Neil, you're number 10.
Well, talking of that, has anybody
shooting
seen
your load?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Inside Deep Throat.
Ah, right, of course.
Narrated by Dennis Hopper, which is a phenomenal documentary. It's explicit, which you would think it would be, but it's fascinating because we'd all heard of this movie Deep Throat and notoriety of what it was, but I didn't know fully the background of it. You know, the fact that it was financed by the mafia, nobody really got paid who was in it properly. It destroyed Marilyn, what's her name's, it was sort of everything about her, mental health and everything. It basically destroyed her life. It's fascinating. It's produced by Ron Howard and Brian Glazer. So it's got a lot of backing behind it. And it's I would say give it a chance because, like I said, that film made a ton of money, but nobody got it but the mafia, and it's crazy to find out all this. Yeah, absolutely fascinating. I would highly recommend that.
How old is that documentary? I'm gonna have a look and see if I can find out.
It's got to be 2000s because I would say probably in the 90s and the 80s they wouldn't have shown the clips that they show in it.
Oh, 2005.
Right.
There you go. But it's not, you're not going to be shocked because we all know what Deep Throat is about. But in that sense, but we're going to be shocked of the criminality behind it when we all thought it was a legitimate movie.
Have you ever seen Deep Throat?
I have, yeah, just for research purposes.
Kelly, have you ever seen Deep Throat?
I have not.
No, I haven't.
I have not done that research yet.
Yeah, but
maybe we should have a watch along party all together.
Maybe watch Inside Deep Throat before you decide to watch Deep Throat again. Then it may
okay.
Be to watch.
But that's what I mean. Because that's a 70s porn movie, isn't it?
Well, it was famous. Yeah. It was a porn movie that became mainstream. People were queuing around the blocks to go and see this film. Not only, they banned it in England, but they were secretly showing it at these cinemas that you get in big cities and that. And people were still going to see it then. And they did when I worked for Blockbuster. I won't, it's a long gone
name dropper
name thing, and that they re-released Deep Throat. They got it past the censors and it came out in this country because forever it was banned because of the subject matter. And I thought, we were given what they called time codes, and I was given one, and I thought, I will watch it because it's so infamous. I've never seen it. I don't know what it's about. And obviously it's about the lady who's got the G spot at the back of the throat. No,
you thought you'd watch it because you were interested in the story, weren't you, Neil? Yeah.
No, I was interested because of the notoriety.
And was it good?
No, not really. It's very 70s. And it's, like I said, and then you watch the documentary, it becomes quite uncomfortable viewing. But I would say watch it. It's nothing nobody's ever seen before.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's made in the 70s. It's not, But like I said, it's all about a G spot at the back of the throat. This is the movie, not Inside the Throat. And that's why she does everything like she does.
Okay.
And for all our Patreon top heads, I will put the full version of Deep Throat in the video playlist from Neil's private collection. Which
I don't have it anymore. No. Why would you have DVD or VHS? That'd have been. Why would I have VHS?
Yeah.
You've got the internet.
I don't know. That's a good way to start, though. My goodness. Okay, my number 10 is The Long Way Round. This was Ewan McGregor and Charlie Borman, and they go from London to New York on motorbikes, and they end up going through Russia. And I think they've done 3 other ones. Long Way Down.
There's 3.
And there was the
Long
last
Way Round.
And then there's one on Apple, isn't there?
Yeah, which was I never saw all of that one.
It's still good.
But this one was like, I think Ewan McGregor had become Obi-Wan Kenobi, hadn't he, at that point?
Yeah.
And it was just fascinating seeing them getting all the kit together, trying to work out if they could actually physically do it, because there were some places they were going that didn't have roads. They would have to basically off bike and go through mud and all kinds of different things. I can remember the guy that they hired as the cameraman didn't have a passport. So, and then he ended up didn't have a bike license, and ended up failing his bike license the day that they went. And it was a whole to do, but it's fascinating because they really went through it on certain parts. And I wouldn't really want to spoil it for anybody if they've never seen it, because it's a lot of fun. But they do go through a lot of stuff. But Ewan McGregor and Charlie Borman, they're like brothers. They've got a deep love for each other, and it's really, really sweet to see. Ewan McGregor seems a very sort of loving kind of guy, you know? I mean, I don't know how much different he is now that he's a bit more sort of Hollywood-fied, if you like. Because obviously that was when he was with his ex-wife then, and now he's with that Mary Elizabeth Winstead, isn't he? I think now he's married to her.
Oh.
But I would thoroughly recommend it. Have you guys seen it?
Yeah.
Yes. So good.
Yeah, very good.
There's parts that made me cry. It was beautiful, beautifully done.
I'm not sure where it is, where you can see it on. It must be on social, one of the
on Apple.
I think it is
TV
Apple.
They
now,
might
right?
be. I was going to say the third one definitely is, and the third one they changed it up and modernized it. They're on electric bikes.
That's right. They couldn't find anywhere.
I definitely haven't seen the third yet.
They couldn't find anywhere to plug their bikes in on
Yeah.
certain places. Yeah. But yeah, that's that for me. Is
Yeah,
my,
that's a good documentary series. That yeah.
Thank you very much, Neil.
That is.
Kelly, your number 9, please.
Okay, so this one's called Magic Trip. And it is about Ken Kesey and the Further Bus and the LSD acid tests. And have you guys heard of this at all?
No.
Okay,
Well,
have you heard of the book One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Yes.
Okay, so Ken Kesey wrote that book, and then he started taking a lot of acid and had a bunch of friends, and they took a bus trip across America that was wild, and it's very like they get back and they meet the Grateful Dead, you know, and they do the acid test. Have you guys heard of the acid tests at all?
yes, yeah, I've
Okay.
heard of them. Yeah,
I haven't. No, Neil's
So
led a much more
there's
colourful
also
life
a
than
book.
me.
There's also a book called Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test that is based on this road trip they took. And it's just really fun. And it's just a good look into the 60s and the craziness of the hippies and my kind of scene. I love it.
What, acid?
My dad might watch this.
So if there was a decade that you could go transport yourself back to, Kelly, is it the 60s where you would go?
Oh, absolutely. I think I'm reincarnated from the 60s. I think I was at Woodstock. I was born in 79, so, you know, it's totally feasible.
Just a youngster. You're just a youngster, aren't you?
Oh, thank you.
79. Goodness me.
I know.
Oh dear. So I mean, it feels to me like it's a snapshot of the 60s. Then that documentary.
Absolutely. I mean, of the hippies in the 60s.
Right.
It's very focused on that sort of scene.
Right.
Yeah.
Narrated by Stanley Tucci.
Okay.
As well. There you go.
Hmm.
Wonderful. There's another one for the list, Neil, that we'll have to put
Yeah,
on.
no,
Another one
that
for the
sounds
list.
good.
Yeah, watch that.
Yeah. Okay, then Neil, you're number 9.
So, very famous documentary movie, Bowling for Columbine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this I think it sort of resonated more in this country because we don't really get the school shootings like
Right.
that have happened in the US.
Well,
So to
not with
see-
not with the same regularity, but we do.
No, we have had them,
we
but
have
it's
had
not
them.
something. Yeah, it's not something that is like in our, radar as much as it is over
Right.
in your country. And to highlight this documentary, I know Michael Moore embellishes stuff. I don't know how much he embellished on this movie or what, but it was shocking to find out the gun culture in America as much as that film portrayed it. You know, we all knew that Americans could carry guns, didn't realize quite to the extent it was, and this really sort of opened my eyes.
Yeah.
But it also opened my eyes into the corporate side of it, the big businesses that are controlling all of this really and behind it. And especially in the Columbine, when you watch the documentary, I don't want to just repeat the documentary, but I think Marilyn Manson, although he's going through whatever, then was one of the people that made the most sense in that documentary when he was asked the question, what would he talk to these kids about? Because they were obviously fans of it. And he just said, I wouldn't talk to them, I'd listen, which was huge statement and resonated through. And I found it fascinating. And I still find it fascinating today. The fact that in America you could open a bank account and they gave you a gun for opening a bank account was crazy.
And is that the one that's got the infamous scene at the end where he doorsteps Charlton Heston?
Yeah,
It's
which
that
I'm
one,
not
isn't it?
too much of a fan of because we find out that Charlton Heston was going through dementia at the time.
Yeah.
So, we all know that Charlton Heston was a big NRA supporter and everything. I wasn't too fan of the interview at the end because he was goaded. He looked bewildered, didn't he, at the interview? So,
But then that was the kind of thing that Michael Moore was famous for, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I don't want to preempt anything else in your top 10, but have you got any other Michael Moore ones in your top 10?
No.
Kelly,
No,
have you got any Michael Moore ones in your top 10?
I don't. I kind of avoided the real serious stuff because, I mean, I watched them. I've seen Bowling for Columbine a few times. It's just all too real.
Yeah.
Living here, I remember when all that went down. That was the first real big school shooting that I remember. And it's just, we're sending our kids to school every day and it's scary.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I've seen it. It's all, I don't think it's that embellished. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad
Mm.
here. I'm in a place where it's super progressive and you don't see people with guns on their
Mm.
belts or whatever everywhere you go, but there is definitely places in America that
Oh
gun
yeah,
toting, that's just the thing.
Well,
yeah.
that movie kind of it preempted social media, didn't it? But it had like
Mm.
Yeah.
it was that grainy black and white CCTV footage
Yeah.
of the killers just walking around the school, and it made it, even because it was black and white, it made it almost like it was ghostly. It was like a horror film,
Right.
like a found footage
Yeah.
horror film.
And
But
the
it's
fact
also,
that Karen,
I was
sorry.
just going to say that when I started to sort of really like watch a lot of his documentaries, and then Fahrenheit 9/11 came out,
Mm.
Hmm.
and he was so like obviously anti George Bush, that and I'm terrible because I tend to get led by documentaries. Like if I watch a documentary and enjoy it, then I believe everything that's in that documentary. And he was very one-sided on stuff. A lot of the stuff he made fantastic points,
Mm.
and you sort of go, "Oh my god, yeah, that's shocking, that's horrendous." And then some of it you think, "Oh, is that true? Is he embellishing it, like you said, Neil, because
Mm.
just to fit his narrative?" But he's a very good documentarian.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
sometimes
his
I think you
books are
can
even
just go
better.
down his lane a little bit too much and believe
Mm.
everything, and not, you need to fact check it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the one that I thought was really good as well was the Roger and Me with the car manufacturer and everything.
Yeah,
Hmm.
That's a fascinating one.
and then he did a medical one, didn't he? I can't remember what.
Sicko, but that was the one that when you read
Sicko,
into
yeah.
it, he painted the picture of the right, but even back then the UK's NHS was just somewhere you walked in and magically got everything done.
And you know that's not real, don't you,
Oh,
Neil?
no, I certainly know at the moment that's not real. Yeah.
Okay, that's your number 9, Neil. My number 9 is Room 237,
Oh,
which
great.
is I'm not sure if it was actually done by a proper studio. It might have been just like a fan film kind of thing, but it's all about The Shining. Now I know a couple of episodes ago,
Oh,
in the Ghost movie episode, that was a very contentious thing for me about The Shining, but it is another one of those documentaries that dissects everything in the movie, and it tells you that Kubrick put everything that was on that screen was there for a specific reason. Even
okay.
cereal boxes in the background, they're there for a reason, or something is pointing at somebody's crotch for a reason. And it's fascinating because they go into it in so much detail.
Mm.
It is
Yeah.
it's very hard to find, though. I found it on
It's
one
on
of those.
Amazon. It's on Prime.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Genuinely. Well,
Yeah.
I'll be buggered.
There you go.
I watched it on one of those naughty sort of sites where you could probably
Mm.
find Deep Throat if you really wanted to watch it.
But you
But-
just rent that now.
Yeah,
bro.
but
You
anybody
just
that is a
rent
fan of The Shining, I would recommend to watch Room 237. Now, a lot of it is theory. It's not based in fact. They're going by theory of what they think Kubrick was thinking of. But there are certain bits in it that you think, wow, I just thought that was a picture on the wall. But no, that picture on the wall, to them, for their theory, had so much meaning, and it's subliminally going into your mind when you're watching the movie. So I would take it that you haven't seen this then, Kelly.
I haven't, but I definitely will watch this. It
I-
sounds super interesting.
I would
I love
thoroughly
The Shining.
recommend it. Thoroughly recommend it. You've seen it, haven't you, Neil?
Yeah.
Yeah, a long time ago. So I need to. It's probably one I need to go back to.
It's even like it's little moments that Jack Nicholson looks directly in the camera,
Mm.
and they're saying this is like his character, like telling you that I can see you, and you think, oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have noticed it if you just watched the movie. It's just a split second thing of him sort of glancing at the camera. It's fascinating. It makes you watch The Shining in a completely different way. So yeah, I would recommend that one. Okay, Kelly, your number 8, please.
Okay, number 8, and I'm switching stuff up as I go along. This is great. So this is a recent one that came out, I think, last year on Netflix. It's called Trainwreck Woodstock '99.
Yes.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I certainly did.
I mean
yeah.
that title itself just, I mean, spoiler alert, it was a absolute clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Just from the lack of water to the security that they called Peace Patrol even though this isn't the 60s, we're in 99. We're listening to, Korn and Limp Bizkit and Rage Against the Machine. There was so much toxic masculinity happening there. It was out of control. It was wild, literally out of control. I found it very entertaining.
Yeah, I think I watched the first episode and then never got round to watching the other ones. But yeah, that was like one of the
Well, it
hit.
gets worse.
Does it?
It gets worse as it goes on.
my
Progressively worse.
Yeah. Oh, cry. Yeah. It's almost shocking. What they did.
It's quite shocking, and it's very America 1999. It just is. It's just the time, and that's sad to say. There was rape happening. There was total destruction. They were lighting fires. It was just chaos. It was complete chaos.
And booze was cheaper than water, and yet everybody was dehydrating faster than you can imagine.
Right. I think they said at the end it was like $12 for a bottle of water because it was so it was like gold. Like there just wasn't enough.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a great documentary. I mean, it asks a lot of questions as a fan, doesn't it? Like, Red Hot Chili Peppers and people like that, and they go out and perform the song Fire, and the things are burning, and then people start burning things. Oh, it must have been scary. And Fatboy Slim, that must have been terrifying for him when everybody in the 100,000 people just surging forward, and crazy dog.
They were tearing down like a sound tower. Right. It was with people on top of it. It's just nuts.
And you hear all the people talking about it and how scared they were, and then they said, if they did another one, would you go? And they were all like, yeah. And I'm like, really? Really on that one?
We survived it,
Yeah. That's still not making me want to go to festivals, Neil. I just listening to things like
that's not a festival.
It's not a typical festival at all.
You can just imagine if you watch that and then you watch that Fire Festival documentary. I'd never go to a festival again. What would be the point?
Yeah. Fire Festival was a great documentary too.
That nearly made my top 10. It didn't. Yeah, it didn't quite get there for me. Okay, then Neil, you're number 8.
It's Man on Wire. So I don't know whether anybody's watched this. It's like a heist movie, but as a documentary where they got all the footage where Philippe Petit basically a tightrope walks across between the World Trade Center and the Twin Towers. It was 1974 he did it with no safety thing. Yeah, and honestly,
was it Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in the movie? They did a movie version of
it.
Yes,
they did. They did, which wasn't great, to be fair.
Right, but the documentary.
So did he survive?
Yeah.
Did he make it? Okay.
And they had to get up there very quick, shoot this bow and arrow across to be able to pull the wire across. They had to do it so quick because they really weren't allowed to be up there. So I would highly recommend watching this. And then he had to get on there and walk. And obviously he didn't know what the wind was going to be, so he didn't know how to counteract that with his pole and everything like that. It's absolutely back to Inside Deep Throat. I would highly recommend this one because, like I said, it's like watching a heist movie. How they work out how to do it is fascinating and crazy. And whatever possesses anybody to want to do a tightrope walk, I just don't get it.
I don't know. I wouldn't do it.
No, I'm with you, Kelly, on that.
Think about it. I don't even know if I'd want to watch it happening in front of me. I think I'd crumble.
Leave it in the circus where they got the nets underneath.
There you go. Right.
I completely agree. Yeah, it is like nail biting stuff. Watching that document, it didn't make my top 10, but it is definitely nail biting stuff, and it's I think it's also bittersweet because he's walking between the Twin Towers as well. It's kind of like you're looking at that, obviously through 2023. I think I watched it last year or the year before, I think, and it makes it poignant, with the fact that he's walking, between the towers that aren't there anymore. So, very good, very good. Okay, my number 8 always makes me hungry. It's Super Size Me.
Almost made my top 10. So
Morgan
good.
Spurlock. And I can remember watching that the first time, and all I wanted to do was eat a McDonald's. That's all. It didn't make me. When he was
You're
sat in the
thinking,
car,
lucky guy,
oh
right?
my God! I mean, the fact that he put on loads of weight and lost his sex
Right.
drive and stuff like that.
Right.
But he got to eat McDonald's for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. I can't remember how long for. Did it a month? I can't remember.
I think it was like a month.
30 days, I
Was it
think.
30
Yeah.
days? And,
Yeah.
anytime they said, "Do you want that supersized?" he had to have it supersized. And I remember
Yep.
that moment when he sat in his car and he's got like the proper American big gulp drink,
Yeah.
and he's got
Yeah.
and he I think he actually is sick. All I kept thinking was, "Oh my God, that looks so nice when he's eating it. He's eating all the fries and he's got like a."
That is my son's dream as well. That is.
If you had to do that for 30 days.
He would do it for 30 days, morning, noon, night. Yes, as long as he gets a Happy Meal toy.
Right. Well, there you go. There you go. But
But
I genuinely, it's a very good documentary, obviously, because it shows you, you know, that it's not the most healthiest of food.
Yeah.
But who doesn't like a McDonald's? I mean, come on.
Did it still make you hungry when they said his liver had turned to pate?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I don't like pate. I don't like pate at all. But you know, who needs a liver? You don't need a liver, do you,
Yeah.
really? I just genuinely
Overrated.
I mean, you know, I mean, it's no secret that I love watching people eat on this. It's like an ASMR kind of thing for me. But to see, yeah, I don't know what it is. There's some kind of thing when you see people eating, but when it's like a big clump of fries and they're just shoving it in them, oh, it's lovely. Anyway, we're getting into deep throat territory again. I gotta be careful.
Oh boy!
I'm getting all hot and bothered now. Anyway,
you love that scene in 9.5 Weeks at the fridge, don't you, Pam?
I love it. Yeah. I love it. I love that scene in Monty Python's Meaning of Life, Mr. Creosote, when he's eating all that stuff. It really turns me on. Okay, Kelly, your number 7, please.
My number 7, Kurt Cobain montage of heck.
That's my number 4.
Oh, we got one.
So good. So sad.
Watchable. Yeah, but so
it's
watchable.
So watchable. I actually rewatched this one last night because I hadn't seen it since it came out, and I mean, I have Kurt Cobain tattooed on my arm right
here. Wow.
So you know, I was 15 years old when he died, and it was just, that was my teenagehood, you know, that was my life. Kurt Cobain, Nirvana, all those grunge bands. And yeah, I mean, seeing what was going on in his life it's hard to watch. It's sad. He was more messed up than any of us knew. That relationship he was in was just not healthy for either party, you know, and their poor kid. It's just sad. And it's also really fun to watch, you know, Nirvana come up and the prior days when he was a baby. But yeah, just seeing his demise was really hard to watch, but really, really good and important, I think.
Yeah. I find it fascinating, the archive footage that I'd never ever, and there's so much of it around. This footage. They got stuff that's never been seen.
Exactly. Yep. And I've seen, I think, every Nirvana Kurt Cobain documentary there is, and there was so much in there, especially from his childhood and like teenage years, and the stuff with Courtney, which was, it's hard stuff to watch.
And it's all entwined with writings, his poems, his writings, right from his youth.
His drawings too,
Is it something that's accessible for somebody that isn't necessarily a Nirvana fan?
I would say so, for sure.
I would say so, yeah. It's obviously got a lot of the music in it, but it's more like if you like to look at interesting people's lives, then yeah, I would say watch it.
Okay.
I would say it's a great document on mental health as well.
Really?
You
absolutely.
See, you know, somebody who's obviously got troubles or whatever troubles they've got, and you can see where their escapism went and how they dealt with it. I think it's a great documentary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Insanely fascinating.
Yeah.
Insanely. I really would. That's why it's so high on mine.
Okay.
And it's like I said, it's interspersed with like animation that are telling you the story, but it's coming directly from his words.
Right.
So they've drawn and done animation, but then you're getting real footage. It's a good 2 hours, 15 minutes of just fascination.
And it's just, it's beautifully done.
Yeah.
You should, huh?
Good one. Good one.
Mm.
Okay, then, Neil, you're number 7.
So this is Capturing the Freedmans. I don't know whether anybody's seen this one, but this was a shocker. Now, I'm not going to divulge too much, but just to say it was a documentary that was made by a person that went around to talk about this children's entertainer, the Friedman family, and what they were doing. As he made the documentary, revelations came to light, huge revelations, almost shocking and everything. And then it obviously changes track onto that. This is what I would call one of these first expose sort of documentaries, but it's done as a movie, not a series. I highly recommend it because it still makes your jaw just go, really?
Yeah.
So this is kind of the same as like Tiger King, isn't it? The documentary was supposed to be about one thing to start with, and then it turned into something completely different.
As they uncovered more and more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
It's uncomfortable.
I was going to say it's
viewing.
supposed to be quite uncomfortable.
Yeah, we are talking about indecency with minors and things like that. So you don't see anything, but they obviously talk about it. So approach with caution, just in case. But it is insanely fascinating. It was the first documentary I ever saw where I thought, I didn't read too much into it, but what I had read, I thought I was watching something else. And then when it did come through, I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
It really was a holy fuck moment. But yeah, I'd highly recommend watching that.
Okay. Have you not seen this, Kelly?
I don't think I have. I've seen it. I think it's on Netflix, right?
I think it is.
Probably in your country. Yeah, we don't
think I've watched it. Yeah.
Okay. So that was your number 7, Neil.
Yeah.
My number 7, a top 10 for me wouldn't be complete without a little bit of Tay-Tay. So I'm going to have Taylor Swift Folklore. Now, this is on Disney+. This documentary and this album is the reason that I'm now a Taylor Swift fan. And this was another thing from the pandemic, from lockdown. Taylor Swift did an album and dropped it without anybody knowing. And this was basically like, it's not the making of. She's in the studio and performing the songs, and in between the songs saying what the songs mean. And it was genuinely the first. I put it on. I can't remember what day it was, but it was a day when we weren't doing anything because we were all in lockdown. I put it on and I thought, oh my God, this is really great. And I never thought she was a great singer. And that was the moment that I realized that she was more than just this kind of cartoon character that I'd thought that she was. This man-eating, money-grabbing kind of, horrible woman. And I thought, no, I think there's more to her than this. And also the fact that she was a great songwriter. So I've watched that documentary. I don't know how many times. It is such, and the album Folklore has got some great tunes on it. There isn't a single song on there that I don't like. So that's the reason that I'm now a massive Swiftie, is because of that album and basically that documentary. I think if you're not a Taylor Swift fan, it's not going to make you, I don't think, well, I say that, it did it for me, it made me, but then again, it was in that bubble of the pandemic, so I don't know whether or not I have that to blame for it, Who knows?
Hey, if it gelled with you, so be it. So would you say I would enjoy that documentary?
No, you'd hate it, Neil.
No?
You would.
But I quite enjoyed the Billie Eilish. I don't like Billie Eilish. But
hers was good. Yeah,
I've seen that one
on Apple TV.
Is that good? Is it?
That's good.
Yeah, I thought it was absolutely fascinating. Bit like the Coldplay one as well on Prime. Is it Prime? It's on where they just.
Oh, from when they very first started.
Yeah, that's a good one.
This isn't. I mean, I could have chosen that Miss Americana, which I think is on Netflix.
Netflix, yeah.
Which is when it followed her around like the Reputation tour, I think, and then sort of said about her. That was more of a documentary style documentary. Where this is, she just performs the songs live with a couple of other people in the studio, and then talks about the songs in between each one, and then basically sings every song off the album. So, but I just loved it. I absolutely adored it. So
it's still something I might still watch.
Well, I would love to know what you think, Neil. I'd love to know what you think. We could be Swifties together.
Swifties. Yeah, it's the music, Kelly, that bothers me a little bit. That's all.
I've seen her live maybe 13 years ago. Justin Bieber even came out on stage. I took my nieces to their first concert. It was fun. It was fun. I'm not a Swiftie, but I appreciate her talent. I appreciate that she writes her own music. I think that's I mean, she's got the talent. I just don't like the music.
I think that just about sort of sums up in regards to my kind of music that I like and everybody else in the
Right.
world that doesn't like
Right.
that.
No, everybody else in the world is with
Everybody,
you. They're with
yeah.
you, Pav.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
To be fair, you look how successful this tour is, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. They think it's going to be the most successful tour of all time, don't
Yeah.
they? So,
And June can't come round quick enough when I can.
it'll
That's
soon be here.
exciting.
It'll soon
Just
be
make
here.
sure you're fit and ready to dance.
I know. Right then, Kelly, your number 6, please.
Okay, number 6, Going Clear Scientology. It's called Going Clear. I don't know the rest of it, but
Yeah.
it's about Scientology, and about David Miscavige and his crazy abusive ways. And I'm pretty sure his wife is still missing. Um, yeah, it's crazy. I'm not anti-religion. I look at them all skeptically, right? But Scientology I don't know how it's considered a religion. It's crazy. And the
No.
tax exempt status. I had a question. I don't know what it's like in the UK. Do churches and stuff, are they tax exempt?
I'm really not sure.
I don't.
wouldn't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know.
Oh,
I would
How are
imagine they probably will be, because
Interesting.
they get like national. We got something called the National Trust, so they help with
Okay.
a lot of the upkeep, because we've got churches that are like from the 8th century or whatever, and
Right,
so
right.
they're ancient here. But yeah, I don't know whether they're tax exempt.
So here, anybody that declares a religion and that the government accepts as a religion pays no taxes. So they're supposed to be nonprofits, right? But Scientology is making billions of dollars and they're paying no taxes on it. And you get to see the big celebration they have when the war is over, the war against the government to not pay taxes. Like it's crazy. The whole thing is corrupt. I think it's a big cult. Hope I'm not offending any of your Scientology listeners, but
we have
it's
a
crazy.
strong contingent of Scientology followers.
Yeah, we could have. I mean,
mean-
myself and Pav were in LA in 2014, and where our
Okay.
hotel was right around the corner from the giant Scientology church.
Right.
And we were
Their
walking.
headquarters, wasn't it?
It was their headquarters,
Yeah.
the big blue building there. And we were walking to the crossroads there, and on the corner were these guys in like straw hats and waistcoats. I thought they were barbershop singers. And but part of the podcast we were doing there, we went up to talk to them, and they were all Scientology trainees, whatever they were, and they really wanted us to go back and do the personality test. Pav was like, "Yeah, it'd be great for the podcast."
Oh, it almost happened.
No.
I didn't know. I didn't. I
Okay.
thought, a personality test would be quite nice to find out.
Fun.
Whether my star sign
Yeah.
matches up with my personality. And then
Right.
Neil's going, no, you don't want to go. Don't go with them. Don't go with them. Yeah.
That's how they get you in.
I mean,
Then they start taking your money.
If Neil had let me go, I
oh,
could have been best friends with Tom Cruise now, couldn't I?
He's left the
right. That's
church
the
now.
goal. I
Oh, has he
feel
left
like.
it now? Is he?
He's
Wait,
left the
what?
church. I read somewhere this year that he's left the Church of Scientology.
Oh,
That is this documentary has a lot about him. I don't know if you guys have seen it. There's a lot
have seen
about
it,
Tom
yeah.
Cruise in there, and you're like, whoa, dude,
They were
calm
using
down.
him as a mouthpiece,
He
weren't
was
they?
oh,
Yeah.
absolutely, and he was just going along with it happily. It seemed like so. Wow, that's the trip
John
that he left.
Travolta's the other famous one, wasn't it?
John Travolta, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Leah Remini. I don't know if you guys
That's
know who
right.
she does a
She
show
left.
too, and she left the church and did a whole series about it. But I picked this one because it was more
It's fascinating.
just a
It's
documentary
absolutely
than like a whole
fascinating.
series.
But
Yeah,
crazy.
it
Crazy.
is.
Very, very strange. Very
All
strange.
from the mind of a sci-fi writer.
I know. It's amazing what people will believe, though,
Crazy.
isn't it? It's amazing what people
Yeah.
believe. Right then, Neil, you're number 6.
Grizzly Man, Werner Herzog.
Sorry, that's my number 5.
Oh, there you
that's
go.
your number 5.
I
Great
just saw it on here,
minds.
and I'm like, oh yeah, so good.
Great man. Yeah, fantastic. Timothy Treadwell's journey of living with the grizzly bears up in, is it Alaska, isn't it? Or
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's Alaska. And then
Yep,
obviously
in the
his
Kodiak Islands, I think.
That's right.
In
And
Alaska.
obviously the way he lived, formed a relationship with these bears only for them to be his downfall. And it's quite a shocking downfall in the movie. You don't see anything, and you hear Werner Herzog talk about should they, shouldn't they, and things like that.
Yeah.
Show it, and they decided no, but they did release a little bit of the audio, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
So
great.
it was actually caught on video, was it? What the actual?
Yeah,
It
it was
was.
his video.
Oh right,
Yeah.
right.
So he basically filmed himself being eaten to death by the grizzlies. And
the saddest part to me is that he always knew he was going to die by a grizzly. Well, that was
he said
this is the way I would like to go, if I'm going to go. But this would have killed him inside, knowing that they killed the bear that killed him.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have ruined, he's dead, so he can't be ruined, but that part
It's
breaks my heart.
fascinating the relationship he had with those big bears.
Yeah.
I mean, they are scary creatures, aren't they?
Oh, grizzlies are big and scary.
Have you seen
you don't want to run into one.
I've seen a black bear in the wild. Have you seen a grizzly in the wild? No.
No.
I've seen Cocaine Bear.
That's
well, that's shocking.
The best
that was a documentary, right?
It felt like a documentary.
They actually did make documentaries on that because there was an actual cocaine bear, but that movie. Woo,
have you seen it? It is batshit crazy.
I actually bought the movie. I bought it.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I was surprised. I thought it was going to be real schlocky in that, but it's got some really good kills in it and some really good comedy in it as well.
And it was supposed to be cheesy.
Yeah,
that was its purpose, and it did great. It was great.
I enjoyed
I must watch it. But yeah, Grizzly Man.
But yeah, R.I.P. Grizzly Man. We're not trying to make
light
of the fact that.
Sorry.
But no, it's what he wanted. It was literally the life that he tells you about. Like I said, it's beautiful to watch until the end. It's no spoiler because it's there.
Yeah.
For everybody to read.
Well, it's kind of the selling point of the documentary, isn't it?
But Werner Herzog makes great documentaries anyway, and great movies. But yeah, that was a really good one. Really.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. My number 6 is 20 Feet from Stardom. So this is a documentary that focuses in on backing singers. And I found it fascinating. Yeah, I found it fascinating because I was thinking about this again, looking at TikTok videos of Taylor Swift, and that she's surrounded by these amazing backing singers, and they're all as good as Taylor Swift at singing. And I don't know whether they must think in their minds, they're thinking, I should be there. And it's a fascinating documentary because you get to hear from those people that are 20 feet from stardom. They're the people that are set back a little bit, but they are creating the whole sound. They speak. I can't remember the name of the lady. I'm sorry, but the lady that does the singing, the backing singing in "Gimme Shelter" with Mick Jagger and Rolling Stones. And they're talking about what it was like in the studio, and they're talking like Stevie Wonder's backing singers, and it's fascinating because they are all amazingly talented in their own right, but they're just not quite the center of, I'm sure they've all had, the majority of them have had singing careers, and gone for stardom. And I can always remember Katie Kassoon and Tessa Niles, who were the backing singers for Eric Clapton's band, especially in like the 90s. And again, amazing sound. And I think Katie Kassoon was part of a duet with maybe her husband or someone. But it always makes you think. Obviously, they're like football or soccer players. There's some soccer players that are superstars, and there are some that are just good professionals that you can rely on every game. And I think maybe that's what a lot of them are like. They like to go there, be on stage, but not be. They can walk down the street if they want to because no one's going to bother them.
That is true. But they still get that experience of being up there, seeing the audience, screaming. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed it. It's a great documentary.
Yeah, I must watch that one.
I thoroughly recommend it. I think it's on Netflix if anybody wants to wants to watch it. Anyway, that we're halfway through, so it's time for this.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
It's quiz time. It's quiz time, Kelly.
Oh boy.
So we have first 1 to 3. And if you get the question wrong, it goes on to your opponent. Kelly, you are our guest. Would you like to go first or would you like to go second?
I'll go first.
You're going to go first. Okay.
Yeah.
First question. Who narrated the 2016 documentary, I Am Not Your Negro?
Samuel L. Jackson.
Is correct.
Oh.
Well done, Kelly.
Oh, wow. I mean,
And-
he could narrate everything, and I'd be happy with that. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Great start. Neil, here's your
Wow.
question. The story of Anvil is the story of heavy metal band Anvil. What country are they from?
Oh, it's Scandinavian. Is it Sweden?
It is not. Kelly?
Norway. Is that even a country?
It is a
Aw.
country. But
Okay.
it wasn't right. It was Canada.
Well, Canada, not
It was
Scandinavian at
Canada.
all.
Yeah. Okay, Kelly. The doc Kaidi or Kedi, Kedi, is about what type of animal?
A dog.
It is not. Neil?
And it's called Doc KD.
No, the doc, as in the
Oh,
documentary.
right. Oh, okay.
The documentary Kedi, Kedi, is about what type of animal?
Whale.
It's a cat.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Neil. Who directed the 2021 documentary about the Sparks brothers?
Edgar Wright.
Is correct.
Great
It's
documentary.
1-1. Kelly, Citizen 4 is about which controversial political figure?
Donald Trump. That's the only one I know.
It is not. Neil?
Controversial. What was it? Controversial.
Political figure.
Che Guevara.
No, it was Edward Snowden.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
There you go. Neil, is this yours?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Lost in La Mancha was about which visionary director's dream of making a movie?
Terry Gilliam.
Is correct. Well done. Okay, Kelly, you need this one to level it up. Which comedian's documentary was titled A Piece of Work?
I don't know. I don't know any comedians apparently all of a sudden, so I'm gonna go with. Literally, I'm gonna pass. I don't
pass.
know.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't even.
Neil, for the win.
Robin Williams.
Oh.
No, it wasn't. No, it was Joan
Oh.
Rivers.
Oh, okay.
Joan
Oh.
Rivers. Okay, Neil, for the win. The Rolling Stones documentary Shine a Light was directed by which iconic movie director?
Sorry, Kelly. Martin Scorsese.
It was
okay.
Martin Scorsese. Well done, Neil.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Neil, for ruining our guest's experience
I'm
here. for
sorry,
getting the
Kelly.
question right.
I'll make it up to you, I promise.
No, well
Oh,
done.
thank you.
Well done. I have one more question, actually. Anyway, March of the Penguins was narrated by whom? Anybody know?
Samuel L. Jackson.
No, it was Morgan Freeman.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
Morgan
Okay,
Freeman.
yes.
To be
My
fair,
other
every quiz
narrator.
that we do, Kelly, if you just answer Samuel L. Jackson, sooner or later you're going to get the question
It's
right.
gonna get
Sooner or
right.
later. Okay, we are back to our countdown. Kelly, your number 5 was Grizzly Man.
Grizzly Man, yeah.
So, Neil, what's your number 5?
Heart of Darkness, a filmmaker's apocalypse, which is the story of the making of Apocalypse Now by Francis Ford Coppola's wife, Eleanor Coppola. And it deals with everything right from the beginning when Harvey Keitel was on there and got sacked through to Martin Sheen's heart attack, to the troubles and the guerrilla filmmaking they had all the way through. It even covers the controversial scene with the cow. If you're a fan of Apocalypse Now, which I am, I think is just an amazing film. This accompanies it fantastically, and I'd recommend anybody watch it if they get a chance. It might even be on YouTube that you could see it. Yeah, just I know it would appeal to you, Pav, because you like to see behind the camera and how they do things. This does it from the start, right from the premise of the film and through. It's and it's footage that you will only get to see of Apocalypse Now through that camera because of obviously the access that his wife had to his filmmaking.
I think I have seen this a long time ago. It's one of those movies that you can't believe actually managed to get made.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. And how long they filmed for. I mean, it wasn't just like 6-8 months. We're talking a couple of years making this movie.
Wow.
You know, Lawrence Fishburne lied about his age to be on the film. I think he was only like 14 when he should have been like 16 or something. It's crazy. And how much they shot with Harvey Keitel as well. And they did all the posters, the studio got them.
What part did he have? What, the Martin Sheen
He was,
part?
yeah.
Oh, really?
He was
I
the
didn't
main
realize that.
guy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, another one for the list there. Heart of Darkness. Thank you, Neil. My number 5 is They Shall Not Grow Old. This is the Peter Jackson documentary about World War One, where he got some old footage. They 4K upscaled it, colorized it. They actually got lip sync people or lip reading people to find out what it is they're saying, and then they voiced over so that it put you right in the middle of what was just an atrocious war. I found it was like, some parts of it is like a horror film. It genuinely is, where it's telling you the experience that these young kids, and you say about Lawrence Fishburne, a lot of them falsified their age so that they can go and fight for their country, and they're in trenches. It's just the fact that when it becomes colorized, it doesn't feel like a documentary. Then it feels like it's real life, and they're putting in like what they're saying, but whole groups of people. It's everything a documentary should be. It's moving, educational, horrific. I don't really know what else you can say. I mean, Peter Jackson did. I know it's not just him, but he did an amazing job, and a precursor to other documentaries that he made. It's a masterpiece, and it will genuinely, I think, numb you. If I don't know if you've seen this, Kelly.
I have not. No.
No, I would thoroughly recommend it.
Like something I would watch. Yeah.
Yeah, it's some of it is not an easy watch. Some of it is quite graphic as well, and especially when they're talking about like cluster bombs and shrapnel and stuff like that. But it's just the way that it starts off in black and white, and then all of a sudden it just turns into color, and it gives the documentary a whole sort of different look, obviously, but a different lease of life and a different way of looking at it as well. It's it's one of the most moving documentaries I think I've ever seen. So that's my number 5. Kelly, your number 4, please.
Number 4, Making a Murderer.
Okay.
So this one is pretty controversial, especially right now, because they just came out with the Other Side documentary called Convicting a Murderer. This is definitely a one-sided sort of documentary. So can you call it a documentary? I don't know, but I found it very entertaining. I got sucked into the whole story of the police planted evidence, and Stephen Avery is, in jail against everything that, that he actually did. Like, I don't know. But then I'm afraid to watch the other side, because then I think I'll get sucked into the other side and be like, never mind, he's bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was good. And it's hard to watch those police interviews with his nephew, Brendan Dassey. Like the poor kid didn't know what was going on. I mean, those cops fed him information. It's crazy to me, the way the police are kind of corrupt, and they're kind of allowed to be out here anyways, in the US.
Oh, it's not that better over here in certain places,
okay.
Kelly.
All right.
with the police, I hate to say. It was definitely a phenomenon, wasn't it? That the whole Making a Murderer thing. But
I'm still invested now. If they do a 3rd series, I'll be watching it.
I'd watch it. Yeah. But the 2nd season for me was just as exciting, because both the female lawyers for Brendan and for Stephen Avery were amazing to watch. Fantastic lawyers. So good.
Is it the mark of a good documentary? Like you just said, Kelly, that you don't really want to see the other documentary in case it makes you. Is that a good mark of a documentary, that it makes you believe what they're putting through if it's a one-sided documentary?
Oh, I think that's the goal. So, yeah, I mean, that's their goal, and they accomplished it. with so many people. I mean, I'm not alone in the fact that I want justice.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everyone wants to be on the side of right, don't they? But like you say,
Right,
you'll watch one
right,
documentary and think, well, then that's what I believe. And then you watch like the other side of it, and all of a sudden you think, oh
right,
no, or whether I'd rather have a balanced documentary so you can make the decision by yourself at
right.
the end of it. Is yeah,
No.
I don't know. I don't know. Okay, that's a good one though. Number 4, Neil, yours was Kurt Cobain. Montage of Heck. My number 4 is The Aristocrats.
Oh,
Now, I don't
yeah.
know if you guys have seen this one. There's a
It's about the joke, isn't it?
very
Yeah.
famous joke that apparently every comedian, they just embellish on it all the time. I'm not going to go through the joke, but this is basically a documentary about the joke, and it has Gilbert Gottfried, I think Billy Connolly's in it. There's just every Penn Jillette. There's so many
Kevin
people.
Smith.
Kevin Smith, but
Oh,
they're all talking about this particular joke and also how they've done it, and then they all embellish on the joke. It's a funny joke, but it's a joke that only works the harder and the more disgusting and the more uncomfortable it gets when somebody tells it, because they'll tell it in just a gross way, and I can't give it justice. I'm terrible at telling jokes anyway. I'm just shit at jokes. I can't do them because I always muck up the punchline or whatever. But go and
yeah,
see the documentary, because it's incredible how they can get a full length documentary just out of one joke for a start. But it's great
right.
seeing all these top class comedians, and I watched it again about 2 or 3 months ago. And it was great seeing Gilbert Gottfried, because he passed away a while back, didn't he? And it was just nice to see him, because I'm always a fan. He had a fantastic podcast,
Oh,
and that was a shame. But yeah, I would recommend it. Thoroughly recommend it if anyone wants to be grossed out by a terrible joke. Okay, Kelly, your number 3, please.
Number 3, Mommy, Dead and Dearest. It's on HBO. It's about a girl named Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her mom Dee Dee Blanchard. And Dee Dee Blanchard had Munchausen's by proxy, and so Gypsy was in a wheelchair, and she thought she had like leukemia, muscular dystrophy. Dee Dee had convinced all the doctors of this as well somehow. Um, this is total spoiler alerts, but she ended up killing her mom. And so Gypsy killed Dee Dee, and she's still in jail for that. But like Dee Dee abused her entire life growing up. You know, it's really sad to see that have you heard of Munchausen's by proxy?
See, I've heard that phrase, but I'm not sure what it means.
It's where it's usually a mother, um, portrays their child as sick for attention, for gifts, for stuff like
Oh,
that.
right.
So,
Okay.
I mean, these people had a house built for them by Habitat for Humanity. This girl, Gypsy Rose, she was actually an adult, and she was totally healthy. She didn't even think she could walk, or she knew she could walk, but her mom had mentally abused her so much into thinking that she couldn't walk.
Wow.
It's sad. It's sad. And she's getting out of jail in December. I Googled her before I did this. So
Goodness
it's exciting because it's sad.
Wow.
And I'm not saying anybody deserves to die, obviously, but my God, the abuse was insane.
Yeah.
So that sounds
Wow.
about as hard hitting as you can get as a documentary then.
It does, doesn't it? But
It
yeah.
is. It is.
But
It
sometimes
is.
they're the best, aren't they? You want them to kick
They
you in the
are
nuts.
Yeah.
one of those
Wow.
like, wow, like my life isn't so bad because
Yeah.
look at what the heck other people are going through, you know?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's a good one. I've never heard of that one before, so that's another one for the
You
list.
should watch it.
Wonderful. Neil, you're number 3.
Is Dangerous Days, the making of Blade Runner. Now, this was made for the special edition, the ultimate Blade Runner box set that you can buy with every version of the film and everything. But I love the movie Blade Runner, and I was enthralled and fascinated with I think it's about 4 hours long, this documentary, with the making of this movie, and right up to how they redid the final cut when they brought back Harrison Ford's son to play him in the movie and things like this. And just insanely fascinating how they made a movie back. What was it made in 1981? I think.
I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah, what they were doing to get the effects and the effects now that still look so visually good. Back then, I just found it inherently fascinating. But then I'm a bit like Pav. I love a good making of. Another one that nearly made my list was Full Tilt Boogie. I don't know whether anybody's seen that.
Oh, that's for
From Dusk Till
Dusk Till
Dawn.
Dawn,
Roger
yeah.
Rodriguez's documentary of the making of the film From Dusk Till Dawn. I just find them so fascinating, where you see actors behind the set being humans and not the characters they're playing, and how you can usually gauge how the set is by these sort of documentaries, whether it's fraught, whether it's fun, and all of these things. And it does that on the making of Blade Runner: Dangerous Days. Yeah, anybody who's a fan. Now, I have put it in there because it has been put on UK TV. It's not just on the box set. They showed it on BBC Two, which is a channel in the
genuinely forgot about this one.
Yeah.
It's not in my top 10. I genuinely forgot about that. And
it's-
Full Tilt Boogie. That's a great documentary
It is.
about the making of, yeah.
These sort of little gems, I mean, Full Tilt Boogie is about an hour and 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
Like I said, this one, Dangerous Days, I think it's about 4.5 hours. But wow.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So good. A Blade Runner fan, Kelly?
I've never seen it. I know.
Kelly.
I was hoping you wouldn't ask. Yeah. So I've definitely not seen the documentary. I should watch the movie first.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Might not make sense otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 3 is OJ, Made in America.
Ah.
The whole OJ Simpson thing, especially the trial. I was transfixed back when the trial was on, and every Sunday they used to on the BBC, I think it was, they used to show what had happened in the trial that week, and I was absolutely fascinated with that whole trial. Just even now, it's sort of like you think, how did you get away with it? How?
Yeah.
But this is the whole OJ story, and to go from somebody who was a hero in a lot of people's eyes, obviously. In regards for me with like a history with OJ Simpson, I know him from Naked Gun movies. I didn't know him because I wasn't really a big American football fan, especially when he was playing. That wasn't something that I thought of him. He wasn't an American hero in my eyes. It was just someone that was in. I knew that he was a sportsman that was going into movies, but to do that whole thing, and then I can't remember what it was I was watching, and then it was about the book that he brought out, where if he'd hypothetically had killed his wife.
Oh my god!
Have you ever seen that, Neil? You ever seen the document? But there wasn't a documentary. It might have been a TV show, like a Tonight Show, or it was a 60 Minutes or something.
60, something like that.
It is. You can't close your mouth because you are just shocked.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because he wrote a book about what he would do if he hypothetically killed his wife, if he did it. And it is ridiculous because he goes into so much detail that would be used as evidence against him. It is batshit crazy.
No, I've not seen that. I must see it.
It is batshit. Just put it on YouTube. Or if I find anything, I'll put it on the video playlist for everybody because it is batshit crazy.
I mean, I did watch the OJ documentary and then I watched the TV series, with Cuba Gooding Jr. and all that. And that was really good.
It was really good. Really good. Yeah.
So fun fact, I actually, so I got a ticket in Santa Monica during the whole OJ trial. So I actually had to go to court where he was at court. And it was crazy. I mean, I saw all the TV cameras outside, because everything, it was all over the news. That's all that was on the news at that time in LA, especially. And I got out of the ticket. Well, I didn't have to pay anything because we had to pay for parking, and it was such a mess getting in there. The judge sympathized with me.
Oh,
but yeah,
good old judgy.
That's my OJ.
I was going to say, well, thank God for OJ. It saves
I didn't have to pay that ticket. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's a good little almost famous story there, Kelly. Isn't
Yeah.
It is absolutely. Okay, that was my number 3. So Kelly, you're number 2, please.
Okay, this one is called Long Strange Trip, and it's about the Grateful Dead and their whole story from Jerry's beginnings to Jerry's ending and everything in between. It's a 6-part series on Amazon Prime, or you can get it on YouTube, and it's like a 4-hour documentary just straight through, but it's really good. It's also another kind of sad to see the demise of one of your rock heroes type of thing. I wasn't a deadhead when Jerry died. Deadheads are what we call ourselves on. I wasn't a deadhead when Jerry died. I became one shortly after, and so I don't remember that impact from when it happened, but watching the documentary, I mean, I'm bawling at the end, just crying my eyes out. Like, it's so hard to see, like, people who just can't stop doing drugs. You know, they have this amazing, what could be this amazing life, and they're so adored, and you know, they just can't give up their addictions long enough to get healthy and survive. But the whole documentary is, it goes from awesome to fun to like, oh, this is the downside, sad part. And it's beautifully done. Even if you don't know the Grateful Dead's music or don't particularly like them, it's a good story that I think everybody should hear.
What got you into the Grateful Dead in the first place?
So I actually went to Venice Beach in California, Southern California, on they did a memorial for him down there, and me and my friend went down there, and there was a band playing called Sons of the Dead, and I listened to it, and I was dancing, and I just haven't stopped dancing since. So
Right.
yeah, it's just became my life, and unfortunately I never got to see Jerry live. So that's the sad part, but I've seen all the different incantations of the band, and yeah, I'm deadhead forever.
There you go.
Fantastic.
You're a deadhead and a top head all in one. How
And a
about
top
that?
head, yeah. And a teabagger, apparently.
And a teabagger as well, yes. Goodness me. I'd like to see the tattoo about that. That would be, that'd be interesting. Go on then, Neil, you're number 2.
So it's another Peter Jackson one. It's Get Back, the Beatles. I've watched this for the second time this year, and I think it's like Pav said about the last one. It's a superb bit of filmmaking. I find it insanely fascinating again how a band got together to write, the process of writing. We spoke about it many times on here, so I won't go too full into it. But I would say any aspiring musician should watch this documentary. It highlights everything you need to know about making a record and what it is, and I wouldn't say it's changed that much, just the technology has changed, that's all. It's just fascinating, and to see people like John Lennon and George Harrison as if it was yesterday that it was filmed.
Yesterday I saw
you
did that with the Beatles. Well done. Well done. You're no fool on the hill, are you? Hey,
I'm not. Go on, get back, you.
Oh, Kelly,
have you
help.
seen this one? Have you seen this one, Kelly?
I've seen it. Yes, I feel like everybody's seen it. Did this also come out during the lockdown? I'm not sure, but
I think it was only
had
last
time.
year. Yeah.
Oh, was it just last year? Well, I had time to watch it. It's a lot. It's a lot of footage, and it's amazing. Again, heroes of mine. Just watching them, like you said, like it's yesterday, and I'm not. But it's fascinating, and it's so much fun. I love watching their minds work. That's my favorite.
Absolutely. Okay, my number 2 is The Last Dance, which was the Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls documentary, which was that last year or the year before, maybe. There are certain people, and it doesn't matter what their sport is, they sort of transcend the sport. And I mean, I've enjoyed basketball, and I know a few of the names, but Michael Jordan's one of those names, like Tiger Woods. they're kind of the person that sort of before you know the sport. And I was fascinated to see what his story was. And I lapped up, I think, I don't know how many parts there were in that documentary, but to find the whole history and him leaving basketball and then going back to basketball and becoming a champion and being a trendsetter for things like, you know, the boots and the shoes, and just the fact that he's got, you know, more money than God, and, and he's a phenomenon. But he's also, when he's talking about like his teammates, that he fell out with some of them, and because he was just so driven at being the best, and it didn't matter if everyone else around him wasn't as good as he was. He got very angry and very moody, and just, you know, the fact that I think his father got murdered, and it's a fascinating documentary. I mean, again, it's one of those ones where it's about a sports star, but you don't need to be a fan of the particular sport. But he excelled in the sport. He was, I mean, it's arguably he's the GOAT, you know, but some would say that maybe Kobe Bryant was, or that LeBron James is, or, you know, I would just recommend it as a documentary about somebody who is at the top of their game. Is that
Shows my naivety. Naivety. Is he still alive?
Yeah, no, he's
Michael
still
Jordan.
alive.
What does he do now then?
Just sits on big bags of money.
Yeah,
I think.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
I think he's just a businessman that you know, just does what he wants to do. I think he plays a lot of golf. I think, yeah.
Just keeps counting his money.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
He's got the shoe money now, right?
Shoe money, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that kind of merch kind of stuff. Yeah. But I would just recommend it, because it's a great insight into somebody that was, possibly is, the greatest of all time in his particular chosen field.
Yeah.
Okay, before we reveal our number ones, Kelly, would you like to just run down your number 10 to number 2? Neil will do the same, and then I'll do the same.
Okay, number 10, Tiger King. Number 9, I'm hoping I'm getting this right, Magic Trip.
That's right.
Number 8, Trainwreck, Woodstock 99. Number 7, Kurt Cobain, Montage of Heck. Number 6, Going Clear, Scientology movie documentary. Number 5, Grizzly Man. Number 4, Making a Murderer. Number 3, Mommy Dead and Dearest. And number 2, Long Strange Strip, Story of the Grateful Dead.
Excellent. Neil, you're 10 to 2.
So at number 10, I had Inside Deep Throat. Number 9, Bowling for Columbine. Number 8, Man on Wire. Number 7, Capturing the Freedmans. Number 6, Grizzly Man. Number 5, Heart of Darkness, A Filmmaker's Apocalypse. Number 4, Kurt Cobain, A Montage of Heck. Number 3, Dangerous Days, The Making of Blade Runner. And number 2, Get Back, The Beatles.
Thank you. Mine is number 10, The Long Way Round. 9, Room 237. Number 8, Super Size Me. 7, Taylor Swift Folklore. 6, 20 Feet from Stardom. 5, They Shall Not Grow Old. 4, The Aristocrats. 3, OJ Made in America. And number 2, The Last Dance. So, Kelly, what is your number 1 documentary?
So this one is number 1 for me because it was like the first thing that got me into documentaries, and it's a documentary called Paradise Lost. It's on HBO as well, and it's about, there was 3 kids murdered here in oh god, what state was it? I think Wisconsin or something. And 3 teenage boys were arrested for the murders. It was all about like satanic panic, and which was going on here big time in the early 90s. You know, Metallica, everybody thought they were into Satan or whatever, and all those rock bands that came out at that time. And so the kids, you know, they listened to Metallica, they wore black, they, you know, probably were into Satan because that's just what was cool to them. But they were kids, and that doesn't mean they're murderers. And so it's a really interesting look into that. They have been set free now. It's a 3-part documentary, but the first one came out in 96, the second one came out in 2000, and the third one came out in 2011. And they're all super interesting. The third one, you kind of get the whole story from the beginning to end when they used what's called an Alford plea to get out. Basically, they had to say we're guilty, even though they were saying we're guilty, but we're not, and we're getting out. So
Oh, right.
yeah, it's it's really, really, really good documentary to watch all three parts. It's super interesting. You see a lot of like the justice system and the trials, and again, more like police basically having a theory and nobody can change their mind type of thing, even though they're wrong.
Wow.
It's really good. Yeah.
Is that the child murders at Robin Hood Hills? Is that the one?
Yes, that's the one. Yes.
Right.
Metallica is like the soundtrack of the whole thing. Um, celebrities got behind these guys after the first one came out, like Johnny Depp and uh, Eddie Vedder. Like people, were backing these guys up because it was kind of clear that they did not do it. There was no evidence pointing towards them other than, oh, they're in a satanic cult, which they weren't.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
Wow.
Fascinating. Okay.
Yeah,
There's
it's
another
really
one to the
good.
list.
That's another one.
Yeah.
Go on then, Neil. You're number one.
So, talking of Eddie Vedder, this is Cameron Crowe's movie 20 about Pearl Jam.
Okay, sorry. I love Pearl Jam. I watch that and I cry and I cry and I cry. It's beautiful. Yes. Go on.
Yes,
Sorry.
it's a beautiful movie made by Cameron Crowe. 20 years anniversary of Pearl Jam. It basically charts them from the start all the way through. When it deals with that awful crushing and death in the concert, it's like Kelly said, it's heartbreaking. I too am a massive Pearl Jam fan. I don't know whether you
Yay.
see.
I've seen them 25 times live, Neil.
Right, here goes the story. I've been trying to see them since the 90s. I booked the tickets in 2020 and got tickets finally to see them because they don't have
good.
and then COVID struck. And so I had to wait another 2 years to go and see them. As a treat, I was paid to go into the Gold Circle. So it took over 20 years of being able to go and see a Pearl Jam.
Wow.
Every time they play, they never do many dates in the UK, so it's really hard to see them. They'll play like one date in London in the tour.
Yeah.
So, and they play an arena, which always makes it crazy. Because they easily, when they did Hyde Park, they sold out 2 nights of 80,000. So, yeah, I just love Pearl Jam, and I just love seeing all about them. So, I quite often put this film on because I just really enjoy it. The music, the soundtrack, the relationship between the band, how it grew. And like I said, the moving moments are very poignant and moving. And Cameron Crowe really knows how to make it warm and bring you in.
Yeah, he does.
Well, I've never heard of that one. And obviously, I don't know much about Pearl Jam, so...
Well, no, Pearl Jam's not your bag, baby. Whereas I'm going to go and marry Kelly because that's her favourite band. Will you accept my
It is definitely one of my... Yes.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Okay, my number one, I don't think it would have been any big secret. It is Get Back from Peter Jackson and the Beatles. We've mentioned it so many times on different various podcasts. It's just when you see songs being born, iconic songs being born in front of your eyes. That's what I love about it, and the fact that it's, like you say, it could have been done yesterday. All my troubles seem so far away then for some reason. But that's my number one. Let's get some honorable mentions. Maria Pereira says, I feel like you already know, but Ken Burns' country music documentary is my all-time favorite. The Beatles Get Back was very compelling as well. Thank you. And thank you and Neil for recommending it. Favorite might be a strong word, but unable to look away, horrifying would be Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey, about Warren Jeffs and the FLDS Church. And another one, Sonic Highways, the Foo Fighters docu-series on recording studios in different cities in the US, and the music scene that came from them. Amazing interviews, music, and Foo, of course. Dawn Sardella Ayers, Maria Pereira. I was going to say the Ken Burns, Jazz, and the Beatles Get Back. The Wham doc was also good, if we're keeping it with music. And there's Carl Sagan. Jen Berg, 1900 House, the one that started it all, followed by 1940s House, Manor House, Frontier House, Colonial House, the Regency House Party, etc. That's some good TV. Anna Catherine said, shiny, happy people about the Duggar family made me scream and cry at the same time. Coming from a religious evangelical family, it was heartbreaking to watch. Very well done, though. Lisa Buchanan, I need to mention Holy Hell, about a cult in Southern California, mostly because it was produced and directed by my grade school friend Will Allen, but even more importantly because he was an actual member and he documented his entire time there. Then the Wham doc was spectacular. Really enjoyed Out for Blood, about Elizabeth Holmes, founder of Theranos. I've also I've watched that several times, and my honorable mention goes to Tinder Swindler. Just Films and that said Super Size Me and Free Solo are up there. You guys should also check out The Other Fellow, which we covered this week on our podcast. Highly recommend it. Corinne Pastor says, for docuseries The Last Dance and Welcome to Wrexham. For documentaries, Depeche Mode 101, 1989, The Keepers and Woodstock. Brandon Watson, Echo in the Canyon, about the Laurel Canyon music scene in the 60s and 70s, is pretty great. I think my favorite documentary, though, is Ole, 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 which is all about the Rolling Stones' influence in Latin American culture, as well as their legendary Latin America World Tour, culminating in Havana for the first time in decades in 2015, I think. Ginger Galloway says, Bright Lights, the Carrie Fisher, Debbie Reynolds documentary, sweet, funny, poignant. I've not seen that. I need to watch that one. Robin Harika says Fruitcake Fraud, even though I'm still Mad Bean hasn't seen it. Mark Di Natale, I think this one was left out. I did this practically by myself in 2016. It's called The Business of Nostalgia. So I will put a link in the video playlist for that one for you, Mark. And Audrey Pearson, Finders Keepers and Winnebago Man.
Oh, Winnebago Man.
So what's that? What's Winnebago Man?
Oh, yeah. So he's a crazy guy who like owned a Winnebago, like he sold Winnebagos or whatever, but they were doing a commercial and it's just craziness ensued. He's wild. He's angry. He's going nuts about a fly. It was a whole thing on K-Rock back in the day. They used to play Winnebago Man clips. So yeah,
right.
good stuff.
Okay. I'll have to look at that one. I'll find something on YouTube for that and put it in the video playlist for our Patreon top heads. That's it. We've done it. Top 10 documentaries done and dusted. And before we say our goodbyes and all that, Neil, tell everybody how they can get in touch with us and all that gubbins.
Okay, so you can come and help support the podcast at patreon.com/top10pods. There's all sorts of rewards where you could even be a guest yourself, like our amazing Kelly here. Email us at top10pods@hotmail.com where you can... Oh, hello. You're right over there.
Sorry.
Did you fall, sir?
I'm all right.
All right. Email us at top10pods@hotmail.com where you can give us all sorts of things you'd like to know, even maybe suggest some top 10s. You can find us on all the social media at Top 10 Pods. Give us a click, give us a like, give us a follow, and you can come subscribe, leave us a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts from.
Wonderful. Kelly, we hope you've had fun.
Oh, it's been a blast. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Will you come back and do another one for us in the new year?
Of course.
Woohoo! Yeah. Job done.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for your support, and thank you very much for spending some time with us. It's been lovely. It really has.
Have a good day, guys.
Yay! Thank you.
Yes,
Bye, Neil.
Thank you, Pab. Thank you so much for your support, Kelly. Yes. It means the world.
Thank you very much, everybody, for watching and listening. And let's go start the countdown.
10, 9.